through, Fiona from The Real Body Movement here, just taking you through a couple of little drills that may help if you are prone to shoulder impingement. So what shoulder impingement can feel like, it can feel like a pain down the bicep here, it can feel like a pain down the arm, it can also be like a sharp shooting pain into the front of the shoulder. It can be the signs, if you catch this early enough, it can actually be what you would feel before getting a bursitis. Now, bursitis in the shoulder, or bursitis in general actually, is actually just a symptom of poor posture. So a bursitis happens when you have restricted mobility through the thoracic spine, so rib cage to shoulders, and that actually then causes this area to not move so well, and it should be quite mobile. And then what happens is then the shoulder joint starts to try and move itself, and it pinches and can cause quite a bit of pain. And then eventually, so the bone up here and your collarbone comes out, it looks like this. You've got a nice little fluid sac in between the two. So between this arm bone here and where your collarbone comes out and this bone comes up the top here, think of it like a house. And the arm bone is the floor of the house and this is the roof. And you have a nice fluid sac in between the two. And what can actually happen is as you start to tighten up through that thoracic region, these bones, obviously that whole area become tight. And those bones get closer and closer and start to push on that fluid sac. So if you think of it like a house, and this is the floor and this is the roof, and that fluid sac is your living room. As it starts to get tighter, your lounge chair almost becomes a futon because there's no room. All right, so we want lots of room in our living room for our couch. And so we need to ensure that we're creating lots of space. And to do that, we need really mobile, supple joints. So through this area, it should be super mobile. So some things you can do if you are starting to experience the onset of that, or even if you do have this pain. Obviously, if you do have quite chronic pain, you do need to go and get a scan just to rule out any other nasties, but it's just a good idea to, here's some safe ways that you could potentially work on that, and that'll be our phone. So, sorry about the background noise. So what we would start with is rolling out our thoracic spine. So that's your rib cage to shoulders. And to do that, we're actually going to use a foam roller and start at the base of your rib cage. You're going to bring the elbows in. Now it's really important you keep the elbows in close so you hug the head. Start at the base of the rib cage, take a big breath in and breathe out as you roll up. Back to the base of the rib cage, big breath in and roll up as you breathe out. So breathing out, big breath in and breath out. And you're following that as you go through. Once you've done 6 to 10 passes, you then place it in the middle of the upper back. So kind of towards the bottom of the shoulder blades. It shouldn't feel painful, but it can feel quite like a decent stretch. So bum is on the ground, abs are on because you don't want to arch in the lower back. Abs are on, elbows are in and you're hugging your head. And then you're just going to breathe out as you drop the head and shoulders down. So dropping the head and shoulders down, and we're going to take some belly breaths here. So keeping the elbows in close, hugging the head, and the weight of the head is in the hands, and we're going to breathe to the belly. And on every breath out, we might be able to get a little more extension and a little more extension. So that's something you need to do daily, is roll and extend the thoracic spine with the elbows in. Another one you could do is using a lacrosse ball. So we sell these as well, and ours are more aesthetically pleasing. They're a nice black color with our logo. But basically what you can do is you can actually even release out like your external rotators, which can help relieve pain, and it can loosen up the shoulder region. So you want to get the ball in. If you think about the back of the shoulder here, you've got back of the armpit, mountain, valley, mountain. It's in the valley at the back of the armpit. Now there's a couple of things you can do here. You can actually just use the roller. So you can actually use the foam roller, back of the armpit, weight of the head is in the hand, and you can rock forward, back, up and down, just little bit by little bit. So that's an option. Or you could even use the floor to lay on, and you can put the ball into that spot too. You could even use a box. So that's an option too. So you want to release out the external rotators. Then the other thing is releasing out the pecs. So across the front of the chest here, under the collarbone, you can make your way, I like to use the wall, so go in against the wall, facing the wall, right? So if I'm against the wall here, I'm gonna place the ball, start in the middle of the chest here, and then I'm in that spot, I'm gonna do some little wall wipers. Now, if you've got impingement in the shoulder, this motion may not be achievable for you. So if you get pain, the minute you feel pain, don't go there, because pain is a sign that it's going to cause more inflammation. So we don't want that. So if you can't get into that position, you might keep it in close and go in against a post and do a reach, or you could just use your hand and you're just rolling out, not necessarily the front of the shoulder, but all the way from just short of there, all the way across to the middle of the chest, so across here. So you can use your hand, but if you're against the wall and you can get that movement without any pain, in against the wall, wipe, even look away the other direction, a little bit more across, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and make your way across the chest till you get to that outer area. You can even come down a touch, make your way across. So releasing out the pecs is a really big one too. The other thing is just avoiding certain movements. So while that's angry. So overhead, while that's aggravated, avoid overhead movements. Our coaches pride themselves in being able to offer an alternative. And the other one would be crab reach, because it's more an open position. So crab reach is where we come into this position here and we load in that external rotated position. So instead, you would focus on more like beast holds are really good, so shoulders down and back. Beast holds are great, and anything closed chain where you're against the floor here is fine. So unloads, beast reach, and so on are fine. But avoiding that overhead is really important while the shoulder is aggravated. So while it's angry, give it time to calm down, do those mobility movements. And the other thing is then going into some rotation after you've rolled out. So you could do things like, because we don't want to go out from the body or up too much, we could do things where we're on all fours, and you could actually reach in underneath gently, and then instead of doing like the rotation where you're pulling the elbow out, you just might reach under, and you might even pretend to do like a row to the side here. So pull up, back down, pull up. So you're just getting some movement into that thoracic spine. So movements you'll avoid is abduction of the shoulder and overhead. And things you want to encourage is rotation. So, you know, even just doing like a little bit of movement through there, a little bit of our thoracic warm up is great as well. So hopefully that helps, and that can calm down any impingement pain that you might be feeling. Thanks, guys.